So, as I was talking about last video, we are going to be racing the Super Formula Lights here in Autodromo Hermanos Rodrigues, my country's most recognizable Grand Prix. Alright, so as I was talking about last video, we are going to be racing the Super Formula Lights here in Autodromo Hermanos Rodrigues, my country's most recognizable Grand Prix, all because of Formula 1. And well, this race, it was an open setup. I'm not really that well versed in how to do setups yet, and I only changed like what, 2 aero things, and yeah, that was about it. I tried to give myself less downforce so I could have better speed in the straights, but clearly I did not take it far enough, as you guys will see later. This was one of my qualifying runs before the race started. I was still getting used to the wet conditions in this track. I had already figured out that, I think I already had, before this lap, that taking any curbs with this amount of rain, while obviously turning, would just send me into the wall, which honestly, nah, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. And I was trying to like play it safe, not trying to go directly onto the racing line, because if I remember correctly, it wasn't like, I had to go a bit off of it before you like could get the turn in, because since it was rubbered in, the track being wet made it less grippy. I might just be like talking nonsense out here, but I was trying not to take like the line as it was. I was trying to go a bit off to the side, just enough where I still had proper grip, but didn't go too far off. I think I was just, this was like after my 2 official qualifying runs. I was just trying to like practice different lines throughout the curbs, and yeah. Alright, so now at the race start, we are off. There I am. I was trying to play it safe. I knew that through the rain, something was going to happen into turn 1. I was still not sure what it was going to happen, but as you can see, that Williams car kind of caused a mess. I slowed down quite a bit and tried to dodge the way, out of the way, but I still managed to get some contact in there. Before getting into turn 1, I braked a bit just to make sure the Reynolds wasn't going to do anything, but I realized he was just trying to park his car, and I kept going. Now, this is one of the reasons why, well, not one of the, actually, you know what, yeah, the fact that I survived the crash was probably the main reason why I ended up doing better than I thought I would have in this race. Even though I had a little bit of contact, it was not enough for me to be damaged in such a way that it would have put me out of contention for the race. I was still, I think here I was P6. I was doing well. I had the Repsol behind me, and if I remember correctly, the car or someone in front of me ends up spinning out sooner or later. But yeah, a strong start so far. Oh, there it is. It was not the person right in front of me. I think that was P4? I don't remember correctly. But here, coming up to Foro del Sol, you know, I was practicing this track a while back, and I realized that, especially for this section, that first braking corner after the SS, I was taking that way earlier than I should have. I think this is one of the tracks that have made me realize how much better I can be, because in dry conditions I'll be constantly putting up 38s, like 38.3s, 8.5s, but then I'll look at the split leaders for other splits, for splits higher than me and sometimes even below me, and they'll be doing like 36s, and that's just insane to me. I just don't understand how people are going that fast when I already feel like I'm going pretty fast. might not seem it that way, but I was honestly trying to play very safe these few first laps. I just wanted to get into the rhythm of stuff, trying to get used to the wet track. And honestly, I think I got a pretty good hang of it sooner than I would have expected. Not there, I just completely overshot that corner. And if I remember correctly, the Repsol will also have a little error around here. Yeah, I remember him being... yeah, there it is. It was very snaky throughout here. And I don't know if it was this lap or later on where he does end up making a mistake, and I remember taking the position back. But yeah, oh. Yeah, he was also lagging quite a bit. Now on to lap 3. I was still maintaining my pace. It was not stellar. I think I was like a second off the front runners. And you know what? I had not changed my setup. I basically still had the same setup, and as I said, there goes the Repsol, finally taking that too much. I honestly don't know what happened to him, but I do know that that's a position for me, and that led us up to back to where we were. At this point, I think I was P5, and I was happy with my pace. I was doing well enough that I was keeping the people behind me at a good delta. They were not catching up. I was making space. It was fine. But once again, the people in front of me, I think they all had like similar setups. And it's not to say that this is just the setup. Clearly, I was lacking skill myself, but they were they just flew into the sunset. Like, I was nowhere near them. I think by the end of this race, I ended up like 20 seconds behind them. But still, this is honestly what I would consider my first proper wet weather race. Because I had done it before, but to varying levels of not even success, I just kind of sucked at it. I never really got comfortable with it, and this was the first time I truly felt like I was a good pace, not even like good, just and something alright, something I could look back at and say that, yeah, I was doing better than I thought I would be. But yeah, here going through this pointy section of the track, something I didn't realize later, you missed that first apex, you barely hit that other one, so you get a better exit through there. I think at this point I was thinking that the guy behind me would catch up to me as well. But honestly, as I said, oh, wait, I need to check something because alright, a little bit of backstory in this race. Throughout like the first half, I was running smoothly in P5, but someone was catching up to me with like 5/10 every lap. And I realized that, okay, I don't know who this guy is, maybe he was a front runner, but that guy is definitely going to catch up to me, definitely going to pass me. Let's try to make it as long as possible before that happens, right? And I think that's the guy behind me that was catching up to me. I realized that his setup definitely had less downforce than mine, because he was so much quicker in the straights. He was a rocket. He had like 2/10 on me in the straights, just alone by that. And so I was looking at him catching up to me in the straights. At this moment, I thought it was just a slipstream, because the cars have this insane slipstream that I honestly have not like properly experienced in any other car in iRacing. But yeah, as you can see, he's genuinely catching up to me. This was the number one in the splits. I think he had the highest iRacing, and this is something I figured out later on. But I was looking at him, he was really catching up to me. Like, I realized, as I said, I'm not gonna last long, so I might as well not make it that easy for him, right? Because I'm not gonna just let him by. I'm not gonna go. I want to go out swinging. That's basically all. But here, going through the S's, this is like the only place I had better pace. The only place I had better pace than him, but that was definitely because of my setup. He was more for the long straight, while since I still had like the regular iRacing setup, I was still better in the corners. But yeah, I think this lap, right after this one, he finally catches up, and I start defending. And I will say, this race kind of like made me realize that I might be defending a bit too aggressively. I really haven't been doing this for long. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to like understand like, well, what is it? Like racecraft, not like being a dickhead on the track, not like weaving around just to defend. I'm trying to learn like proper defending and attacking. And there I was just trying to cover up the apexes because I knew that this guy would have a much better exit than me. And if I remember correctly, here I tried to squeeze him a bit. Maybe just slightly, but as I said, I had much better downforce. I had a much higher downforce setup, so that means I could take the corners quickly, as probably if anyone's watching this, you could probably already know that. And again, here is one of those few places where I actually managed to make a smaller gap for me, a bit more breathing space. However, there is this straight right after these S's that, if I remember correctly, it was kind of goofy of my part. I realized he was catching up to me. He had the slipstream, and he was finally like catching up to me. So I move out, I get into the corner, and I lock up, overshoot it, and he just takes the place. I said I wanted to give him a fight. I gave him a fight for like half a lap, all for it to go away in that final section of curves. Now at P6, I knew I was not gonna catch this guy, so I just decided to race as cleanly as possible, try not to get any more penalties because I got an off track for that, and just try to keep it safe, try to keep it clean. And there's gonna be a good portion of laps where nothing is gonna happen, so we'll skip to when we actually get to something more interesting. Alright, coming up on lap 14, I finally managed to reach some of the back markers. I think these were some of the people that were involved in the first crash. I think, I'm actually not sure, these guys might as well have been people that just crashed at some other point during the race. But it was this really weird spot where I was, because I wasn't really with the front pack, and by the time that I had finally, like, the guy that overtook me like a few, like 7 laps ago, finally caught up to them, but he actually couldn't make a move on them. Apparently they were defending really well. But here I was just trying to move throughout the back markers. They were trying to fight, so I realized, you know what? I'm not even gonna try forcing it. Never mind. I actually just went for that. I think that if I had the opportunity, I probably would have played it safe later. But remember, I didn't want to like be harsh on this guy because I had already done that move, but I really didn't want to risk it again. I might as well be like saying just stuff for the sake of saying it, because clearly I didn't remember properly what I tried doing in the last section of corners. But yeah, coming out onto the straights, I had the slipstream, and if I remember correctly, he did not move out of his line. I think he kept it, but I still had no, I didn't. I did not have a better exit. Well, just slightly, I was able to finally get in front of him to take the corner properly. And yeah, this was another moment where I kind of screwed up. I remember I said that I wanted to keep a clean race. I think this was my last kind of incident, going off track moments during the entire race, and for the rest of it I kept it clean. But yeah, then I remember seeing that in my mirror, so like, what the fuck was he trying to do? But going to the section of corners, taking it safe, taking it easy, going through calmly. I realized that even if I wasn't pushing, I still had the better pace. Also, by this time the track had dried enough for me to take the proper racing lines I would have been taking at this point. Here, going through the S's, braking just a little bit in order to properly have enough speed in order to go through here without a hiccup. Yeah, the track was finally beginning to dry up, clear up a bit, so I could finally like feel more confident pushing. And I feel this was best demonstrated with this group because I definitely had like a few fifths of pace on them, moving through there calmly, going well, even doing that damn overtake that I really shouldn't have throughout those S's. That was a bit too aggressive, especially for a back marker. But if I remember correctly, this was a few more laps of this on drier track, finally more calm, and nothing more special to this race, I think. Alright, starting out on the final lap, the track felt like it had fully dried, and I just wanted to like talk about this race in general, and especially at the end. The guy that I was trying to defend from, that he just easily overtook me after I had locked up, he actually was like on chat saying like, oh, this guy was actually like pushing me, like squeezing me out, then getting back on the racing line. And you know what? I thought I was being overtly aggressive, but looking at it now, it really didn't seem like it. Maybe like when you're racing, like you see all those little movements, you're a bit more aware of what's happening, and maybe through that perspective it's a bit difficult. But look, even if I did or didn't, he did tell me that like doing that move, squeezing someone into the outside just to go back on the racing line, is a bit frowned upon. Not that it's a bad move, it's just that it's a way too aggressive. So I've been trying to not do it as much, trying to rely on other techniques to defend and attack. And yeah, honestly, I think I ended this race in 6th. I was ages away from the top 5. I realized that they were all... Oh, I didn't realize it happened. But yeah, I didn't realize it happened either. Okay. But yeah, honestly, this race, even though I think I could have done better, I'm really proud of it. This was my first proper like race in the wets. I had proper pace. I was doing well. I was calm. I was collected. Even though I had some mistakes, I still believe that I did much better than I thought I would have for a race like this. Now, what else I have to say about this race? Yeah, I was just genuinely really proud of how this turned out. I'm really happy with the way it ended. I definitely could have done better, but hey, I'm happy with what I have, and I'll take what I can get. So that's it. Subscribe if you're still watching. If you watched the entire video, genuinely thank you. I've been trying to do uploads on this channel for a while now, and I'm gonna try to be more consistent, trying to do uploads daily, see if I can. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you.